Welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner, Boys Soccer Edition. I'm Jake Lancer with Danny Lynch for HWTV, and today we're joined by varsity boys soccer head coach Michael Erush. The Wolverines are currently in third place in the Mission League, fighting for a playoff spot.
Now, looking after your games right after St. Francis, you're able to attain 2 wins. How do you think you're able to keep that going after that loss?
So for us, I mean, it's been a bumpy road all throughout the season. We've got some big wins, we've got some bad ties, and we've got some bad losses. So we've had a couple of team meetings this week. Preparation to St. Francis on Friday is important. We've had some really deep conversations with the group, what we can do better as a group individually. So again, it's unfortunate to be in this position, but it's part of kind of this time of year when, you get some bad losses and bad ties, but we're going to regroup and focus on Friday's game against St. Francis.
And looking at your game back against Chaminade, it's hard to beat a team twice. And last time before you played them, you beat them 2-1, which is a close game. How do you think you were able to keep that tie and not let this team that's gunning for a win?
What's interesting is we've had a lot of teams play their best games against us. We had a tough game against Chaminade the first time where we scored a goal late with the conditions this past weekend against Chaminade with the wind. It made it really complicated for the group to get some rhythm. A lot of guys. We had multiple players out with injuries, COVID, and the list goes on. So no excuses there. Glad we got the shutout. And then, trying, like I said, is when teams play their best against us, they're playing they're playing the champions. Notre Dame puts everything in Chaminade. So it's been a little tougher than expected, but when you have a group such as our boys and the high school such as Harvard Westlake, everyone's going to try their best. Our boys have to match it and overcome that and fight through the adversity and continue playing. So for the most part, we've been doing that. At times when we blink, we get scored on. So it's been unfortunate at times.
It's a great segue into talking about the Notre Dame game where they truly did play their best game of the season against you guys. Up until the final 20 minutes of it, though, it felt like you guys were truly dominating, especially looking at time of possession. Ball was on their side of the field much more than yours. What do you think changed in those final 20 minutes?
I think we had a key injury in the last 20 minutes. I think we should have been up 3-4, 5-0 at halftime. We had a lot of scoring opportunities. Then, personnel reasons and tactically reasons, we adjusted in the second half, maybe sent in a little more. But I think the last 20 minutes wasn't injury related. And then we had to kind of shuffle the lineup, almost scrambling to a point because of so many players out. So it was unfortunate. It was off a throw-in, the second goal and a miscommunication and a little error in the back. But again, what I challenge the group is when we go down, there's still time to come back, and the body language needs to improve when we get scored on 1 or 2, because that was the first time I think we get scored on in a couple of games. So we've had a lot of shutouts. We defend really hard and really well, and 2 mistakes cost us.
So you talked about how the game plan sort of changed due to injury and other sort of factors. How did the absence of specifically Josh Barnavon and then for a solid chunk of the game, JT Fetterman affected the game plan?
Yeah, Josh gives us a little more presence up top. He's a hard runner. He's blue collar. He creates. With JT, obviously late in the game going down against a very physical Notre Dame team, it was unfortunate. And then we had to put another kid that wasn't at 100% yet because in the back we're limited with options. So we had to be creative. We were considering doing something else. But again, like I said, without Josh, without JT, 2 of our top sophomores it hurt the team. But again, next man up, as I said at the beginning of the year with COVID. So next man up, and we'll continue going with that. So we're excited to most likely have Josh back. We're most likely excited to have JT back. And getting our numbers higher for the game against St. Francis.
Looking back at the Notre Dame game in the first half, JT Fetterman made an amazing save where it's a shot on goal. No one was in goal. He was there. Great save. What does that sort of speak to about him as a player and his work ethic?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a play that broke down defensively. I think a couple of things happened on that play, and then obviously we talk about covering each other every single time, and JT covering Jason, Jason covering Asher. It was a spectacular play. It's a reaction play, and again, that's why he's one of our leaders slash captain, and his effort was there. He was prepared for it. Again, if it was a half a second or a quarter of a second late or not reacting to cover, we would have been there'd been another goal scored. So for me, it was a spectacular play. We've looked at it through video, and we learned from it going forward. So I think that's important to learn and understand how important it is to cover each other in the final third.
As we enter the last weeks of the season, is a spot in the playoffs still in contention here? You guys are currently in third place, but you do have the
Yeah,
tiebreaker against rival Loyola.
Yeah, absolutely. We're fortunate to be in the situation we're in, even though we've had some negative results or ties, because in our league, 4 teams advance. So we have a pretty high advantage with the fifth place team. We got to take care of our business. But again, for me and for the group, it's knowing that there's no pressure. It's just another game, and let's make sure we're on the right page. Because the last thing I want to do is add pressure. Oh, you guys got to win 3 points or 1 point. Just let them go out and enjoy. I know we were the better team against St. Francis. That's going to be the message. 2 letdowns. I mean, a great shot in the second half, and then we were pushing to equalize, and they scored a second one. So we're in every game. It's a game of soccer. It's a game of luck. Sometimes it's a game of bounces. So hopefully we're on the front foot like we started against St. Francis last time for this Friday's game.
It feels like we've talked a lot about health in this episode specifically. We talked about JT, we talked about Josh. You just mentioned Milo being potentially limited last game. I wanted to also bring up SJ Schaefer, who in the final minutes of Monday's game against Notre Dame looked like he got hit in the head with the ball. How is he doing?
He is unfortunately out. He's going to be evaluated by the doctor. It could be day to day. It could be a week, just depending on protocols. So we don't know the full status of SJ. I'm also very pleased with Millen coming in and playing very, very well last couple of games. And I've challenged him to kind of take his senior leadership and start kind of ending with a bang because I think he's a very talented player who is, when playing confident and comfortably, he's one of our best players. So SJ, it's unfortunate, but we're hoping to have him back either this week or next week, and then stepping up with our senior leadership as we approach senior day on Monday. But like I said, and you guys said, is Friday's is the next game.
Yeah, you mentioned Millen. He was big last game. He had your guys' only goal, and it was a great one. Looking back at the Notre Dame game, they were going into Monday's game winless, coach, and they were hungry and sort of desperate for a win, and it sort of showed on the field with their aggressiveness and also their physicality with some sort of cheap shots and I don't want to say taunting, but chirping on the field. How do you think that their mindset sort of rattled your team in a way, or did it rattle your team?
We talked about that in pregame, and we talked about that leading to the game. Whatever it is, Notre Dame or against Harvard Westlake is always something in the air. The first game with the physicality, the cards, we've got to adjust and we've got to be prepared for anyone. We talk about Notre Dame, but if we play someone in the playoffs and they're physical, we have to be ready for it. So I think it takes mental preparation. I think it takes visualization to know what it's going to take, and expect, just like when we play tougher opponents, we step up our game. When we play teams below us, then we get comfortable. So I think it's a mindset that needs to be discussed with the group, that when it's Notre Dame, a physical team, how are we going to prepare for it? When it's a team like Loyola and St. Francis, who are really good soccer-wise, what are we going to do to adapt and beat them? So I think it's a mindset thing, and that's what we've been discussing this week.
On top of that, when you look at the mindset, do you think that the mindset and the game plan switched to a more conservative approach once you guys went up 1-0?
I would say yes, but it was on personnel and tactically what Notre Dame was trying to do with our formation. So going into halftime, I thought it would be good to adjust. Did we go more conservative? Yes, but we also created chances, and the 2 goals against necessarily weren't because we were conservative. It was because of a couple of mistakes, and we get punished for it. So it's a game of sports. You make a mistake, good teams punish you.
What do you think this team's biggest improvement has been this year? Do you think this has to do with their work rate during practice, or what do you just think they've just completely improved on?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing going into the season was kind of doing a blue collar, very organized defensively, commitment to defend, and hence, the shutouts, the lower goals against. So I think that's a biggest improvement. I think now the challenge, not the pressure, is to put on the forwards and see, can we be scoring more? We're creating chances. Now it's the final touch of, can we finish that and execute that chance that we've created? So, a lot of finishing this week. We became a blue collar, very defensive team. Now, the last couple of weeks, can we become and energize our forwards to be creative and finishing our chances?
In our past couple of coaches' corners, we talked about consistency a lot. What does your team need to do in order to achieve this, do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. Consistency is in the mindset of performing as they can. Because again, we know high school student athletes can be inconsistent with everything that's going on in their lives. But what I ask them is, when you step onto the field, enjoy the moment, enjoy the opportunity. So I would challenge them is be consistent at your best and get your mindset to be at your best always. So, if they need to have a conversation prior to the game, or do they have to have a phone call, whatever it is, the coaching staff is here for them, and they've got to understand that we are here to support them, and we want them to be comfortable once they step onto the field. With college decisions for the seniors, this time of year with finals, so much going on. Is the biggest thing is being consistent and being present with the game that's gonna happen minutes or hours or days upon. So that's how I would like to see them be more consistent.
Lastly, what's your biggest point of emphasis at practice going into St. Francis?
Yeah, positivity, body language, and confidence. They need to be positive with each other. We need to be positive with whatever the situation is. We go up 1-0, we go down 1-0, we play. So I think the mindset is more of like confidence and body language, because as we saw in the video and in the game, is when Notre Dame scores a second goal, we go, our body language deteriorates. I mean, at an unbelievable percentage. So mindset, body language, confidence is what we're looking for the next couple of days. We talk about playoffs. Of course, we have to still take care of our own results. But at the end of the day, is the pressure needs to be kind of off their shoulders, and go out and enjoy your Mission League, your last 3 games, and we take one game at a time.
Thank you for joining us on your Coach's Corners with Coach Erush. Good luck to you guys versus St. Francis. I'm Daniel Lynch with Jake Lancer, and we'll see you next time on Coach's
Thanks, guys.
Corners. Enjoy the game.
Great job.